Hello and welcome back to Rip Sports. I am Rahul Giri and alongside me Bharat Ramraj. And yesterday, Indian men's hockey team started their World Cup campaign on a winning note. But today, all eyes on our women's hockey team. Can they get off to a flying start? But their opponent is China, one of the formidable team in the recent few years in the world hockey. They own silver at the recent Paris Olympic and also they own the Asia Cup as well, defeating our Indian women's hockey team. So obviously, a difficult task for Sword Marine and the girls, but remains to be seen. Can our women's hockey team punch above their weight today against China? I am joined by Bharat. Bharat, the first question, obviously, what kind of feeling actually you are having before this game? Do you really think, can we realistically expect a draw from today's game, or do you think China is totally unmatched?
See, you can't say one team is totally unmatched. As you know, in a World Cup, you never know. At one particular point of time, another side can suddenly lift their game and go on to win a match. So, from that point of view, definitely India would believe that if they play at their level best, who knows what might happen. But having said that, yes, China will start as a favorite. We have already talked about how it seemed to be a different side in the last maybe couple of years, 2 3 years, since the new coach took over, and on after that, I think there have been kind of a different kind of sides. China and yes, in Paris they did really well. They went on to win a silver medal. Even if you look at the Asian Games in the Asia Cup, they have played well in the recent past. They have generally beaten the Indian team over the last 4 years. I think that particular win against India in 2022, maybe it was around 4 years ago. I guess that kind of tipped the scales in terms of in terms of India versus China head to head in women's hockey. Since then, China tended to have an upper hand over the Indian team in women's hockey. So you expect yes, China to come good. Uh, they kind of play very structured hockey that you see with European teams. That is something that was not the case with China of the past, but in the last few years they have been playing a very different kind of hockey. So yes, expect China to come out on top, but you can't completely rule out the Indian team. They also have some experience. Recently, obviously, they played well in the Nations Cup. You also would have followed someone like Deepika seems to have finally come good as a drag flicker, especially as a drag flicker. Although I don't think India still have that kind of what can I say pure forward like Vandana Kaka, in that sense. But still, someone like Deepika doing well as a drag flicker. Obviously, Salima, she's a live wire. In somewhere, if you go to Granchi, I would say Salima Tete has many fans. I'm not comparing her to a legend like MS Dhoni, but she also has so many fans in Ranchi that is sometimes wonder whether she can match up to MS Dhoni in terms of fan base that is in Ranchi. Everywhere I went and asked a question to young girls, young boys, they would say Salima is our favorite. So yeah, she's someone who's a live wire in midfield, and they have enough experience. They have five players over, I think, maybe 200 caps. Sushila is there. I know Savita obviously is making comeback. Yeah, you can say there are lots of debutants as well. World Cup debutants, maybe 9, 10 of them are World Cup debutants. But in that sense as well, it's good for the Indian team because obviously, if these debutants won't have any kind of backlog from the previous World Cup, they won't carry forward that kind of those heartbreaks and all. So even from that perspective, it is good that India would have some debutants there. But yes, China would start this match as favorites. If you want to share a little more.
Absolutely. Yeah, if you see India's squad, then it's a mix of experienced and young players. Bharat already talked about Salima Tete and how famous she is actually in Ranchi. We have recorded one interaction with Indian women's hockey team captain Salima before this World Cup. Of course, we'll play that later in the show. But before that, talking about China, we should talk about the kind of form they have gone through before coming in this World Cup. They are the runners-up at the Olympic. And also they have been consistent performer in the recent few tournaments. They are fourth. They actually finished fourth in back-to-back pro league as well. So that shows the consistency of this China hockey team, and they have actually undergone a renaissance of hockey, under their new head coach, that is Alison Anand, the former Australian uh, women's team hockey player. And he was at that time, he was one of the most popular hockey player, and actually has totally transformed this China side into a competitive brigade in the world hockey. But for Indian women's hockey team, the story have been completely different since finishing fourth at the Tokyo Olympics. Actually, that we have, I mean, for the men's team, we have seen that they have sustained the momentum after winning the bronze at the Tokyo, but that hasn't happened for women's hockey team. After winning, I mean, after finishing fourth at that Olympics in Tokyo, the women's team have struggled a bit. We have seen a sharp decline, but then again, Sword Marine is back in charge in the beginning of this year, taking charge from Harendra Singh, the former head coach. And under Sword Marine, we have seen this team transformed into a competitive unit. But now the question is, can they match the intensity of teams like China or Netherlands or England? That is the big question. But Bharat, are you optimistic that India can really make a mark at this hockey World Cup? Because under Sword Marine, I mean, since he joined the team in January or February, if I'm not mistaken, this team has won the FIH Nation Cup as well. That will act as a big boost for this team. But do you think this hockey World Cup is very early, after taking charge for Sword Marine? Because this team is actually undergoing a rebuild that might become a very strong or competitive unit in a 1 or 2 year. But do you think can they really make a mark at this hockey World Cup?
To start with, I just remembered the game where I think it tipped the scales China's favor. That was the Asian Games 3 years ago when China won
Mm.
4-0. I was referring to that match. But I guess it's a little too early in relation to the question that you asked. See, yes, he's made some changes in terms of the coaching staff. It's also brought in, I guess, Lombard into that coaching setup somewhere, and Takama also is there as a when it comes to penalty corner coaching. I think he has also helped because I guess it was Deepika was somewhere said that she was told just to breathe a little bit before she goes for those penalty corners. I think he has brought in a little bit of change in terms of their penalty corner conversion. But still, I guess India still have a long way to go. And as you know, it's not an easy group either. If you look at the men's hockey team, they're in a relatively easier group. If you look at just compare both groups, that is, if you look at this group, yes, England, India can on their day, I think they can defeat England perhaps. But China looks quite tough, and other than that, obviously, there is South Africa. So this group looks a little tougher. So a lot of things have to go in India's favor. As I noted, I'm not completely ruling out the Indian women's team. I'm not trying to be negative or bring in negative vibes into this particular live show, but still, it's going to be quite tricky. Or let me put it, it's going to be quite tough for the Indian team to progress from this group. But fingers crossed. Let us hope for the best. It's not like it's a very bad side or on those lines, but still, I guess they lack that little bit of experience in terms of playing the bigger teams. Yes, they have played well in the Nations Cup, but if you look at the kind of competitors they have played against in the recent past, they lack that kind of big match experience. I'm talking about the recent years. I'm not thinking about what India did some 4 or 5 years ago. The kind of match that India maybe played against Germany that I referred to yesterday in the Olympic qualifiers in Ranchi, India needed those types of matches before the World Cup, where they would go up against maybe better ranked teams, not just one or two like China, but 3 or 4 better ranked teams. And even if they lose those matches, it would have given them some kind of belief, and also it would have helped them in terms of strategies and tactics as to what exactly they should do to improve further. So I think that is also the Indian team is lacking in. They don't have much of big match experience, or they haven't played much against big teams in the recent past.
That's true. I mean, China coming into this World Cup playing against some better ranked nation. I mean, top five ranked nation. But if you see India, they haven't played that many game against top five ranked nation. Of course, they went to Australia, they went to Argentina, And to be honest, that two tour was a commendable display from Indian women's hockey team. But apart from that, recently, of course, they have won the FIH Nations Cup, after which they secured their qualification for the next season Pro League as well. But in that Nation Cup, also, if you see, apart from New Zealand, they haven't played any game against top ranked nations. So that will be one question that will be raised through this hockey World Cup campaign. But we have spoken to women's hockey team head coach Sword Marine, who is again back in the charge after guiding the women's hockey team to the fourth place finish at the Olympics. We asked him about the preparation of the team, what's his expectation from the upcoming World Cup, what he is saying. Let's take a look. The wins against Australia in that tour, and also the win against New Zealand. You are sharing with the girls in your team.
No, a lot of players have been many times in the Netherlands because of tournaments, so I don't have to share these things. Yeah, one of the things I told them, it's a very big tournament, and they will, the crowd will be, the stadium will be full normally. We're always playing before the men's matches from the Netherlands, so yeah, if people come earlier, there will be full crowded stadiums, so that's very nice. But everything is, of course, about the performance. And for us, it's all about the first match, playing against China. And we work match by match. China, England. Oh, sorry, China, South Africa, England.
Absolutely, coach. Tougher opponents, China.
January. And every camp, you're not training for the next tournament, but in general to improve your team. And then the tournaments are moments where you know where will you stand against the top countries. Like now, we know we are the best from number nine till higher. We have proven that now, and now it's about challenging the other positions. Everything is lower or higher ranked than us, and that is the main thing I'm looking forward to. Where are we? How can we play? How good are we against those teams? We have a lot of confidence, of course. And that is something we have to now challenge ourselves in the World Cup. So we have now 4 weeks camp. Then we go to Germany, and then in Netherlands some practice matches. So all these matches will help us to be ready for the World Cup.
Lord Marin is optimistic. He is saying that they will go at this World Cup match by match. First China, then England, then South Africa. To be honest, India have been drawn in a very tough group. India need to beat at least any one of China or England to qualify for the second group stage, because South Africa is a team against whom realistically India can win that game. But what will happen against China and then against England? India need to win any one of these two games if they really have a dream to qualify for the second group stage. But Bharat, I have one question. That's a bit controversial question. I mean, reports, got to know from the reports. Then, of course, that Sword Marine, the head coach of the women's hockey team, it has been 1 month. I mean, before this World Cup, he was not with the team for a month because he took break from his job due to some family reason. Do you think it will impact team performance?
Oh, that's a little bit difficult to say, but if you look at it from a larger picture, if you peel the outside coating, then you would believe that the coach should have been there with the Indian setup when they trained, because that is how you tend to have that kind of coach players bond. It's not just about maybe improving your fitness, a player's fitness. It's not just about looking at tactics. It's not just about looking at perhaps high intensity or high press hockey that India would want to play. It's also about that coach players bond. Yes, you can hit back at me by saying that this particular coach has been with the Indian team in the past as well, so he knows some of the players. It's not like he needs to have that kind of bond with the players, but still, just before the World Cup, you would want your head coach to be with the members of the squad for a period of say 20 days or a period of 30 days, but it could be certain reasons, unavoidable reasons, because of which he couldn't be there, whatever it is. But ideally, he should have been there. But hopefully, they have got it right in terms of the tactics, in terms of not just the tactics, in terms of their belief, in terms of their fitness. Because what I heard is obviously Wayne Lombard has also joined in as a scientific advisor as well. So you hope their fitness would get better. with him joining the setup, as well as I've heard a lot of things as to how they're looking to play that kind of high press hockey. So yeah, there are positive signs, but as you just noted, head coach should have been there ideally with the Indian setup at the training camp or a period of time just before the World Cup. It would have helped in having that kind of bond between the players and the coach going in the World Cup.
Absolutely hoping that that won't impact India's result this World Cup. But we also got to know that though Sword was not with the team for a month because of family reason, but he was keeping a close eye on the preparation of the team on the lead up to this World Cup. And also, as Bharat mentioned, there were several support staff were there with the team, like when Lombard, the scientific advisor, and also apart from that, there was a mental conditioning coach as well. Like men's hockey team, there was another mental conditioning coach with the women's hockey team, and also there is penalty corners specialist coach, as Bharat already mentioned earlier in this show. So they haven't left any stone unturned, in their preparation for this World Cup. But again, India will have to climb a mountain if they want to qualify for the second group stage. But Bharat, who are the players to watch out for in this women's hockey team? Because this time it's a new look team. I mean, since that when actually India finished fourth at the Olympic, from that team only there is one player, who is in this team, that is Savita Punia. Apart from that, there are several new faces, and also there are some players, in the last 4 or 5 years, they have become the new leaders of this team as well, like Navneet, then Deepika, then Salima Tete, but only one player from that 2021 Tokyo Olympic. So who are the players actually to watch out for at this World Cup?
Yeah, obviously there are experienced players still in India's ranks. You would know about, obviously, you would have heard a lot about Nikki Pradhan. She's still around. Obviously, Sushila is still around. So they have 4 or 5 players. So 200 caps. You already mentioned about Savita. She's been around for so long, maybe 300 or whatever, 313 caps. And it's good to see that Deepika has come back to some kind of form. She, I think, has had hamstring injury not long ago. She's come back from that. So obviously Salima, I already mentioned, she's basically live wire. Whenever she had the ball in Ranchi a couple of years ago, when I was watching from the stadium, the entire stadium would suddenly start clapping, suddenly would start whistling. That tells you that she's basically the live wire of this Indian team. I think she's also become a little more versatile since that time, Salima. So yes, there are some good players. Uh, Obviously, Navneet, you already mentioned her as well, I guess. Other than that, I think the one thing that just my humble opinion. I mean, I may be wrong. I still think India miss a pure forward or a forward like Vandana Kataria. So that's something that maybe somewhere in the future India will get it right. But it's still a very decent side, and obviously the confidence was boosted by how they performed in the Nations Cup. So hopefully they will at least lift their game today against China and put their foot forward. And if everything goes well, we'll get a very good result, favorable result. If you want to add a little more
Absolutely.
about
I
the
think
key players to watch out for, yeah.
I think for me, eyes will be on Navneet and Deepika Sherawat, because these two forward have been key for Indian team in the last two tournament they have played in the World Cup qualifiers in Hyderabad, where India finished second, and also in the F1 Nation Cup, where they actually emerged as the winners. In the F1 Nation Cup, Deepika was the top scorer, and he scored most of the goals from the penalty corners. And Navneet, he scored I think 5 to 6 goals in the World Cup qualifiers. In the Nation Cup as well, actually Navneet scored 4 goals. So they have been the consistent performer for Indian hockey team in the last few tournaments. So India will need them to fire against China, because it won't be that easy to get past Chinese defense on the pitch. But if Navneet and Deepika can have their best day on the pitch, then I think obviously they can find the back of the net. And apart from that, obviously it's Salima Tete. I've been one of the best midfielder in the world hockey. And Salima's story is quite inspiring as well, as you have mentioned, that coming from a rural area of Jharkhand and becoming the captain of the Indian hockey team is never that easy, And also, he has got such a leadership qualities as well. Because when I was speaking to him during the interaction, he was saying that we have got several new bunch of players. This time, we have got 11 players I think 10 to 11 this World Cup. It's never easy, to gel along with them in this new World Cup setup. So as captain, the way he has excelled, on and off the pitch, that is quite inspiring as well. Apart from Salima, another inspiring story is Deepika Soring, who will be playing in the midfield for Indian women's hockey team because, since his childhood, early in his childhood, he lost his dad. His mother used to work in a steel plant to earn the bread and butter for his family, and then he helped Deepika, to play hockey from the childhood days and to fulfill his dream from playing for the national team. So that is another inspiring story. But Bharat, for China, we all know that China are a formidable team. The way they have established themselves as one of the heavyweight nation in the recently in the world hockey. But who are the players who will be real threat for Indian women's hockey team?
Yeah, there are some players we already talked about. Zhu yesterday, Zoom, Mairong, Peng Yang, obviously, is another one to watch out for. Chen Yang. So these are some of the players. Obviously, Li Hong, the midfielder, she has over 180 caps. And I think that goalkeeper will be Jiao. So these are, I guess, some of the key players to watch out for. But they play a very structured hockey in the sense that that was not the case with the China teams of the past, based on what I've seen. But since Anom has taken over, they're kind of playing a very structured hockey that you generally see with European teams, and I guess they flipped, as I noted, the head-to-head with India in that Asian Games match when they won 4-0. Since then, China, I guess, have taken the upper hand against the Indian side. So yeah, one of the players to watch out for will be Mairong, I guess, and then you look out for experienced players like Li Hong. Again, their midfield would be Peng Yang, and defender, I guess, one of the defenders, main defenders, again over 100 caps, will be Bing Feng. So all these players, I guess, they have some 8 or 10 players, at least 8 players, from what I understand, who have over 100 caps. So it's a very experienced side, and as you mentioned, it's well coached as well.
Absolutely. And year ago, India lost 4-1 to China. Can they bridge that gap? This World Cup, that will say, what kind of work, what kind of preparation actually went behind the scene before this World Cup under the new head coach, Stuart Marine. Another key point that will be penalty corners conversion. That will be also key for this women's hockey team because yesterday for the men's hockey team as well, we have seen all the 3 goals came from a penalty corner. So penalty corners are crucial for any team to win any games. So against China as well, India will rely on Navneet or you say Deepika Sharwar to convert those penalty corners whenever they get opportunities from set pieces because this Indian women's hockey team have scored 13th of their 16 goals at the Nations Cup. So that clearly shows how much this team is reliant on penalty corners. Our last 2 minutes of the show before I go to Bharat for prediction, also to all of our viewers, you can share your prediction. What's your thoughts? Who will be your players to watch out for at this World Cup for Indian women's hockey team? Let us know in the comment section below. But before that, let's hear from Indian women's hockey team captain Salima Tete. What is she saying before this Hockey World Cup? Preparation कैसे रहा and also
बिल्कुल, फर्स्ट तो हमारी ट्रेनिंग बहुत अच्छे चल रही है। जैसे अभी हम बेंगलोर पे हैं और काफ़ी ज़्यादा जैसे हमारा लास्ट 1 मंथ से हम यही हैं तो और एक टीम के साथ हैं और यही है कि हम काफ़ी ज़्यादा हार्ड वर्क कर रहे हैं और जिस चीज़ पे हमें काम करना चाहिए वो चीज़ हमने किया बट अभी जाने का टाइम है कि हाँ, हम एक्साइटेड भी हैं और नर्वस भी हैं क्योंकि इतना बड़ा टूर्नामेंट पे आप जा रहे हो और एक बड़े-बड़े टीमों के साथ पहले भी खेल चुके हैं बट अभी हमारे एक एक होता है ना कि एक न्यू टीम बनी है जो जूनियर्स आए हैं उनके साथ खेलना एक कनेक्शन बनाना वो हमारे लिए थोड़ा चैलेंजिंग है बट कोई बात नहीं हम अभी सबके साथ हमारा एक अच्छा कनेक्शन है और एक अच्छा बॉन्डिंग भी है क्योंकि सबको पता है कि किसके पास कितना स्पीड है किसके पास स्किल है तो सबको भी पता है कि एक एक दूसरे को हम काफी ज्यादा भी यूज टू हो गए हैं तो वो चीज हमारे लिए अच्छी है और डेफिनेटली कैप्टन इतना इजी नहीं है क्योंकि टीम के साथ टीम को लेकर चलना भी है और खुद का गेम भी खेलना है और टीम के लिए भी खेलना है तो थोड़ा डिफिकल्ट होता है बट कोई बात नहीं ये हमारे लिए एक अच्छा मोटिवेशन भी है कि अभी मुझे यंग में इतना ज्यादा रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी मिल रहा है तो मैं उस चीज को एक पॉजिटिविटी लेती हूँ कि हाँ मुझे ये चीज अच्छी करनी है और मैं ये जो भी यंग है जो भी हॉकी को प्यार करते हैं जो भी चाहते हैं हॉकी खेलना चाहते हैं उनको एक मैसेज देना चाहती हूँ कि हम रिस्पॉन्सिबल के साथ हम बहुत कुछ कर भी सकते हैं तो चीज हमारे लिए अच्छी बात है और यही है कि हम हर एक प्लेयर को सपोर्ट करना चाहती हूँ कि ठीक है मैं कैप्टन हूँ तो ये नहीं कि मैं हर कुछ बोलूँ, तो वो चीज़ नहीं है। क्योंकि हर एक प्लेयर एक होता है ना कि खुद को एक रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी होती है कि हाँ, ये कैप्टन ही करे, ये नहीं सोचते हैं जैसे अभी हमारे टीम में है। क्योंकि सारे सपोर्ट करते हैं और एक यही पॉजिटिविटी रहता है कि कोई बात नहीं, अगर कोई भी मिस्टेक होता है तो हर एक प्लेयर को हम पुश करते हैं, कोई बात नहीं, हम नेक्स्ट क्या अच्छा कर सकते हो, हम एक दूसरे को पुश करते हैं। अगर आपके पास होता है कभी कभी उतार चढ़ाव, गोल भी खा जाते हैं, बट उस चीज को हम कैसे पॉजिटिविटी के साथ जाते हैं कि अगर हम एक गोल खाए हैं तो हम दूसरी गोल मार भी सकते हैं। तो वो चीज एक पॉजिटिविटी होनी चाहिए टीम में। तो यही चल रहा है अभी कि हमारे एक कनेक्शन के ऊपर हम काम कर रहे हैं कि अगर हमारे पास एक अच्छा कनेक्शन है तो हम एक अच्छा स्कोर भी कर सकते हैं और एक अच्छा सेलिब्रेशन भी कर सकते हैं। अगर आपके पास एक अच्छा कनेक्शन होगा, आप स्कोर करोगे तो एक अलग ही खुशी होती है कि हाँ, अभी जैसे लास्ट नेशन कप में हमने बहुत अच्छा एक गोल मारा, जैसे रिवर्स जाने के बाद जैसे हमने इतने सेकंड पोस्ट में टच किया, तो वो एक हमारा कनेक्शन था कि वो कनेक्शन ग्राउंड पे दिखती है, तो वो चीज हमारे अंदर है अभी और वो चीज हम दोबारा करना चाहते हैं कि नहीं। अगर इस बार हम एक अच्छा मेमोरी बनाए हैं तो हमें अभी जो भी फ्रंट में आ रहा है टूर्नामेंट, उस चीज में हम और ज्यादा काम करेंगे और वहां भी जाके हम एक अलग मेमोरी सेट करेंगे।
That was a lovely conversation, speaking to Captain Salima Tete, and she sounded, so confident, before this World Cup. Now let's see whether they can reflect that confidence on the pitch or not against China. Bharat, your prediction for the game?
Oh, you put me on a spot. We expect obviously China to kind of come out on top. Maybe it is 2-0 or on those lines. But still, I won't completely give up on the Indian team. But they have to get a goal out as soon as possible. Maybe somehow in the first 5-6 minutes in the first quarter. If they get a goal out, then they can definitely put some pressure on the China side. But China definitely have, I think, the what can I say? They have the mental edge, psychological edge in the recent past. Unfortunately,
True.
it was that. I go back that particular game in that Asian Games where China, I guess, won 4-0. You see some echo coming from my side. I hope it's not the case.
No,
Anyway,
it's fine. Perfect.
yeah, okay. So I think it was that particular game in the 2023 Asian Games when China won maybe 3-0, 4-0. After that, India haven't had their best of times against China, and China seemed to have a little bit of mental edge over them. But hopefully, if India can get a goal out in the first 5-6 minutes, then they can kind of rattle the China team a little bit, experience China team, and then it might change a little bit in terms of the outcome from India's perspective. But still, I would say China to come out on top maybe by 2-0 scoreline. That is if I put my neutrals hat on.
Absolutely, but with all due respect to China, I would say that recently, the Indian women's hockey team also transformed, much better unit actually under Sword Marine, because we have seen when they played against Australia or Argentina recently, in friendly games, we have seen that this Indian team actually very difficult to break by opponent. Defensively, they have become very strong. So I know that to ask for a victory would be a huge ask, but still at least a draw is a realistic result for this Indian women's hockey team. If they can snatch a draw and again another points against England, and then obviously, as I've already mentioned, realistic they have a chance to win that game against South Africa, then India can actually dream of qualifying for the
I
second
think their
group
fitness
stage.
is improved.
Yesterday, Indian
One,
men's hockey team started their camp.
yeah. Sorry, you
Sorry,
continue,
Bharat.
continue. Just wanted to add, you talked about defensive structure. I just wanted to add a point that I think the main subplot
Yeah, sure.
in relation to structure is their fitness. I guess fitness is improved with Vine Lombard also
Yes,
coming, etc.
exactly. You were spot on, Bharat. I mean, yesterday Indian men's hockey team started their campaign on a winning note. But today, can men's hockey team start their campaign on a winning note? We all know that China is a formidable team. They're walking into the pitch as a clear favorite. But again, sport is a great leveler. Let's see whether women's hockey team can make a mark or not in the opening encounter of this Hockey World Cup campaign. Thanks a lot, Bharat, for joining us, and also to all of our viewers. Stay tuned to Rep Sports for more update from this Hockey World Cup. Thanks for watching. See you in the post-match show.